So I just recorded this whole video. I did not realize my microphone was not connected to OBS, bro. Like, literally, I want to cry right now. But anyways, double texting, it's a very nuanced issue, okay? Now, the short answer of if you should double text is probably why you clicked on the video. The answer is no, and I'll explain that in a minute after the self-promo. Bryce_Estelle. I've been streaming every day on Twitch at Bryce_Estelle, and I got a live account. I will tag both in the description to this video. Now, as for why you don't double text in a traditional sense, I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a second. It's kind of a two-pronged issue as for why you don't do it. There is the general nature of over-pursuing, coming on too strong, but then also there is the nature of optics. Optics will always be extremely important. People all the time argue that optics shouldn't be a big deal, and whether it should or shouldn't is up for debate. But the point is, it is, right? Like, remember Shorty where, she actually, you probably don't know this. There was a girl on TikTok. She made content with her boyfriend who was in the NFL, and her boyfriend, the whole big thing was, it was like, oh, he's so annoyed of her constantly. Like, she's overly affectionate. He's like, get away from me. Basically, he ended up cheating on her, right? And people were like, oh, well, honestly, you should have been able to tell. You should have, like, left the relationship. Obviously, not, like, blaming her for getting cheated on, but it's like, if he obviously hates you, you should leave the relationship. And she had to get on. She was like, oh, but, like, it was, like, a bit. Like, it was a thing. Like, he wasn't like this behind the scenes. And it's like, okay, you can say that, but like, this is what we all saw. And not gonna lie, someone who's comfortable making people think they hate you, that's not a good, like, you know, like, if your girlfriend, boyfriend is comfortable thinking with people thinking that they're not really into you, that is a bad sign. Think about it in any form though. You know, you're around your friends, you know, your partner starts being weird around you. Like, yeah, like, you don't like that, right? So optics will always be important because optics are a general vibe of how someone feels about this person, or at least a certain level of respect. But where that factors in here is, say you quadruple text, okay? Which, by the way, no, don't do that. But you quadruple text. Think about the optics of them showing that to a third party. What's the third party gonna think? Even if someone just stumbled upon it, what would they think? If someone saw that in your phone, what would they think? And the thing is, you know, some people think just because there's been a little conversation that they're in there. You're not always all the way in there. Like, I've been with women before where they're showing me, like, these guys are texting them, oh, like, I'm not really into them, blah, 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 but look at this. And then I'm seeing, like, again, walls of text, double text, triple text, and then I'm seeing a few sentences. Okay, so you have to, as you're texting, you have to be like, okay, how does this look, right? And again, it's not just how does it look, but it's like, if it looks this way, how's this conversation actually going? Like, if I'm giving like 3 sentences out, right, and this person's giving me 1-word answers, yes, it looks bad, but also they probably aren't into me. So even if optics aren't your whole thing, it's a very good litmus test of, is this person interested in me? Are they not? Now, when I think of double text, okay, what that means specifically, a traditional double text is, say you're having a conversation, you're the last one to say something. Say you're like, oh, my cat is so fluffy. That's just a random thing I came up with just now. And then you get no answer, and then hours, days later, you say, hey, what's up? Don't do that ever in your life. If you're going to double text, which sometimes is permissible, you have to contribute something to the conversation. You have to say something. For example, say you find out, like, this person's favorite artist, Frank Ocean, right? And then, you know, you get left undelivered, whatever. And then somehow, miraculously, like, I wish, next day, 2 days from now, a week from now, Frank Ocean announces he's releasing an album. Then that's something, oh, did you hear Frank Ocean releasing an album? That's actually something else. That's a new conversation. Now, mind you, you only get one of those, though. Okay, so for one, if you say something about, oh, did you see he's dropping out a new album, and that's on red, you're finished, you're cooked. Do not text anymore. And also, in general, you can't do that too much. Because if you're the only one starting new conversations, continuing conversations, again, it's not a good look. It just doesn't look like, you know, that's necessarily the situation for you. Also, something else that's acceptable, sliding up on stories. Okay, but again, you only get a couple of those. Now, mind you, sometimes stories, like, personally, and I'm gonna get way more into this later, like, there were times I'd slide up on accident. Like, because I would genuinely, I'd see a meme, there'd be like some food place, oh, where's that from? You know what I mean? Like, and you just kind of like slide in that way. But if you're cognizant of it, you only get a few of those. Only, I'm not gonna say one, but say maybe 1 or 2. And you can't constantly do it. You can't constantly do it. You need to give this person space to see if they're actually interested in you. Some of you don't give you don't give someone the time to see if they're interested in you. Like, I remember I used to get into it, like, with this girl, right? And she'd be like, oh, like, I always call you first. You never call me first. But the thing is, she would call me at like noon, right? And I'm like, you're not even giving me, like, there's like half the day, 75% of the day left. You're not giving me a chance to call you. And like, I'm not the kind of person where it's like, oh, you know, if the conversation's dead, that means they don't really want you. Some people get shy. Some people are bad conversationalists. Sometimes you just meet someone, there's nothing to talk about, right? There's no real connection there. Like, There's nothing. I remember one time I was on stream with May, and basically she was like trying to say like, no, like me and you, we just like talked a lot from the jump, da 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 da. Which I, she, she definitely wants it to be like a whole romantic like love at first sight thing. But it's like we talked initially because we already had a point of interest, which was JPEG Mafia. We both liked the artist. I saw she liked the artist, so then I said something about liking the artist. So then, she's in the music. We end up having a lot to say. You don't always have that with everybody, right? Not everyone is as forthcoming with things like musical interests, what they do in their free time. Sometimes you look at someone's Instagram, it's just their Instagram. Or you meet someone in person and you just meet them in person. That's why, bro. Again, for the story thing, I recommend you have their social media, right? Now, be careful because, again, nowadays Instagram's so serious. If you follow too many people, like you'll get shot or something. But no, yeah, be careful. But it's like if you're at a point where like you don't know if you can keep up conversation, get that social media. Get that social media so you can say something to a story, or again, post something on your story. They'll interact with it, right? You don't always have the luxury of having a full conversation with somebody, so don't judge anybody by the full conversation. Again, you're thinking, this conversation is dull, it's not really going anywhere. They could be thinking the same thing, like, man, like I wish we had something to talk about, but I don't know what to do. Because clearly, if they're talking to you, they're interested enough to see what you have to offer. Now, mind you, everyone who is in a situation where they're talking to someone who's single, talking to someone, they want that person to sweep them off their feet. Some want it a little bit too much, but in general, if you're talking to someone, you would love for them to be the love of your life, right? And this is something I really hope sticks with you, right? No matter what situation you're in. No woman is talking to a man talking to a woman romantically, being like, I hope this isn't the love of my life. I hope this isn't someone I fall for tremendously, right? So they're looking for it at all times. But some key info, player tip, bro. No one's going to tell you this. Everyone's talking about, do I send double text? Do I send double text? If you're in that situation, leave them undelivered. Leave them on read. Okay, now mind you, this is not hot and colding. This is not playing hard to get. It's this conversation. We're not really talking about anything. So let me just stop. You know what I mean? Like, let's just not have this conversation anymore. And you understand. Now, mind you, there is some game to that. There is some game to that. I'll get to that. But when you leave them on read, leave them undelivered, not only does it give them an opportunity to reach out to you, because a lot of you do not give this person opportunities to reach out to you because you're thinking about it too much and you're approaching with too much energy. Like, when people, they had that whole emo thing where it's like, if I stop reaching out to people first, no one's going to reach out to me. If you stop reaching out to people first, most of the time, a lot of people are going to say something to you and you're going to be able to gauge their interest. Now, if they don't say anything, then you're like, okay, cool. But that way you don't embarrass yourself. You've never overextended. They were the last one to send the message. You left them on delivered read. It's all fine. Like, I remember I was talking to this girl, right? And she was known, right? So I was a bit like starstruck, but obviously I'm trying to play it cool. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, Bryce, you're tweaking. Let's just leave it on delivered. Let's just leave it on read, okay? Because at the end of the day, you can say you didn't go out bad in the DMs, right? That at the very least, you can say that. But then, I left it there. We still had each other on social media. And then, she slid in the DMs. I was like, oh, okay, bet. So then I was like, from that point on, I knew there was genuine interest, right? Because I think I posted it was like a selfie on my story or something, and then, commented glazing me. Not commented slid up, but you know what I'm saying though? Like, basically that's what it is. But if I would have fell victim to me freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I need this to work. I need this to work. Like this could be the biggest thing ever. If I was doing that, I was freaking out and trying to like persist and like keep reviving a dead conversation, I never would have had the opportunity to know how much I didn't have to worry in the first place. Oh my gosh, I thought I paused. But anyways, okay, I accidentally started something called a replay buffer. I don't know what that is. I stopped it though. But another thing is, a lot of these people, right? Most people are used to someone applying heavy pressure. Now, I know this one's kind of like this. I don't know how to explain this. Obviously, it can't be true. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if everyone's used to applying pressure, then that means like everyone's getting pressure applied on. So that's just not true. I'm talking about attractive people. Okay, I'm so sorry if you're ugly and you watch these videos. I can't give you advice. I don't know what to do about ugly problems. I was ugly back in like middle school, bro. In early high school, you know what I did? I struggled, bro. It was hard for me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. But attractive people with attractive experience, I need you to understand. If you don't apply pressure, oftentimes you are one of the only people not applying pressure. Now again, like I said, it seems like not everyone's doing that because how could everyone be doing that? A lot of people who said, like, someone could watch my video and I could be like, yeah, I kind of, I never really was into like asking women on dates. Like, I kind of just like let things play out how they played out. And people were like, oh yeah, I'm like that too. I'm like that too. I'm like that too. And they don't agree. Like, bro, the amount of time, The amount of times, bro, like I would tell a story and someone would be like, bro, like you're just like me. I'm like, no, you're not. Because the thing is, I'm not even like me. You know, and when I mean that in a sense, it's like where like, I would tell certain stories, like talking to like multiple people or like just being like, super chill. I'm not a chill guy. Like I don't deem myself to be chill. Like I'm very high strung, you know what I mean? And that people, oh man, he just doesn't care. Like everyone thought like I didn't care about the roster. I cared about everyone on the roster, bro. I'm a very, very heartfelt man. Like literally, if you were to take every woman I used to talk to and also like take like the heartbreak and them hating me out of their heart, first thing they would tell you about, Bryce is so sweet, right? And people didn't know that. People thought I had some sort of like rough, cold demeanor because of the stories I tell you, and like people would like be like, "Oh yeah, that's just like me." So I'm like, now some of them, I'm sure. So I believe some people are like that, but most no. Because I'll tell you this right here. I remember I was with this girl, right? She was like my side, but then also I don't know if he was trying to make her the main. Anyways, we'll get to the story. Basically, she was telling me this dude was like, "Oh, I want you to meet my mom." Like he was actively, because at first he was saying that, I was like, "Bro, like he's like love bombing you." And she's like, "No, like he's like making the plans out of that." And she showed me the text. Again, that's another thing. They will show people the text, or some of them will show people the text. So remember, before you double text, before you send that long paragraph, I could see it. I thought I paused again. My bad, y'all. See, when I tell you, the first time I recorded this video, I did not do the thought I paused thing once. But anyways, this dude, as I knew him up until that point, I was like, oh, he keeps it Pete. You know what I mean? Like he's not gonna like chase a woman or anything like that. I wouldn't have thought so. But then, of course, he did. So it's like, a lot of these people who are like, oh, I don't chase, or anything like that, they're lying, unfortunately. So a lot of these women and men, applies to me as well, are used to people throwing themselves at them. Like I remember when I was, like while in the roster days, I was very much used to people on the roster. They all kind of want to date me on a level, right? Where they say it, where they don't say it. It's clear they want to date me. So when someone came through and they kind of were just okay with things being casual, it kind of made me more interested in them. I'm like, wait, what? Now, mind you, that does not carry throughout. All right, so it's not just like play hard to get constantly and it works. That gets you in the door as far as that person. I then proceed to get to know that person more, right? And we got to know each other on a closer level than we would have if she was just like everyone else. And I promise the same has, definitely applied to me. Like what you gotta understand is when you're scarcely in someone's life, right? When it's very clear that they are not important to you, it sounds fucked up, but when it's clear they're not important to you, that people eat that up for some reason. People love that. Like they look at your little text conversations like a little treat. Okay, and again, I've been on both sides of it, right? Well, some young lady, like we talk, like we have like a little conversation, and then like it ends, and then like weeks later, there's another little conversation, right? Slide up on the story, there's another little conversation, like that. Both like it's not even like looking forward to it, because again, like like both of us like had stuff going on, but it's more so like when it happens, it's like, oh yay, oh we get to do this part. And I've had women tell me that they used to like always feel like invigorated when I would text them because I did it so sparingly. Now mind you, I like to think I'm a lovely man. Like if I kept texting, I would be able to get stuff done. But there's absolutely more of a, oh my gosh, let me seize the moment. Let me have a really good conversation. Let me say some like really cool stuff here, because it happens less. So when you're more prone to leave someone on read, leave someone undelivered, that's when you can give yourself those opportunities. And then it gets to a point where double texting doesn't matter, right? Now, mind you, because again, I will never, okay, unless I'm trying to think, initial slides into DMs, hey, has happened. But I mean, like after like a conversation's been had, hey, what's up? How are you? Unless it's a block spin. But a block spin is completely different, because you kind of like are just throwing everything on the floor. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of obvious. Like you're like, okay, I'm being shitty. I was shitty before. Now I'm going to spin the block. It's much different than like, oh hey, what's up? Like so it's you kind of got to take one on the chin there. But you know what I mean? And not to be corny, but like be mysterious. Be the prize. Not the prize as in, the way people talk about it, but be like, oh my gosh, I get this little moment to talk with this person. And then those are when the conversations get interesting. When you spend forever trying to revive and continue to CPR on a dead conversation, that's when it gets boring. That's when you get to one word answers. That's when you get to the point where it's like, why am I even texting this person? But when you take breaks in between, you say some real interesting shit, and then the conversations are actually good. And then it can get to some point where the conversation, it lasts longer. And it's like, hey, wait, actually, do you want to talk on the phone about this? It's game. But mind you, again, it's attractive game. Attractive game is attractive game. Attractive game is not ugly game. I'm so sorry, I can't help with the ugly game. But you see what I mean? It's like applying pressure is not applying pressure, and not applying pressure is applying pressure. Because again, you're getting to know somebody. It's honestly, getting to know someone The key to having someone want to get to know you is just curiosity, piquing their curiosity. If you're sitting there having a nothing conversation, what's there to be curious about? Oh, what's this person like when they're more interesting? Again, like, be comfortable with the conversation ending. Be comfortable with the concept of not talking to that person again. Like on some real shit. Now, again, this is where you needing to have a roster comes in, because a lot of this, oh, do I double text or not double text stuff, goes out the window when you have a roster, right? Because again, I'm giving you the rules, I'm giving you the rule book, like, for the optics. But at the end of the day, when you have a roster that's active, right? When you have a bunch of people where you're like, okay, yep, I have access to this, you don't really care. Like, there were definitely times where I had slid up on someone's story like 3 times in a row, not in a day or anything like that, but just like 3 times without response. Right now, optically, that looks bad, but mind you, I can do that because I don't actually care, right? Like, it's kind of the secret. It's like, with this person, I don't care if I'm coming on too strong. Like, I don't care if, like, I don't know, the conversation doesn't want to be had, because I have so many other options. So yes, depending on how they feel about me, they could be over there feeling like super special, like, oh my gosh, like, he's really like double, triple texting me. But in reality, it's just, I don't care. And I'm telling you, I'm going to make the video soon, but it's like, caring is the reason why people struggle today. Like, caring too much. Like, you, again, like, when people are like, oh, I'm looking for a relationship, you should never say that you're looking for a relationship. I don't mean you shouldn't say it. I mean, you should never be looking for a relationship. Because when you're looking for a relationship, every conversation you have with people has a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of energy, okay? Whether that be Tinder matches, sliding in the DMs. When you literally just have a conversation, right? When you're like, okay, this is someone, I think they're attractive. Like, I kind of want to be involved with them in some form or fashion. Whether it be, again, just they're this person where you kind of, when you have like those flirty interactions with people but nothing really happens, something like that. Something in, again, you shouldn't be thinking, I'm trying to think of other things, but you shouldn't be thinking of, friends with benefits, you shouldn't be thinking of relationships that early into meeting someone. You should never value the concept of being in a relationship over the person, right? But again, it's like, we're just meeting these people. Like, you don't know if you want that with the person. Now, once you like talk to someone for a while, it should be, oh my gosh, I want a relationship with this person. It shouldn't be, I want a relationship, let me go find the person. Okay, that's doing it completely backwards. Like, that's why back in the day, like, people used to like be like, I want to be married, so then they would go and buy a wife and then have, very forced, unhappy marriages. And it's like, again, I can think through this with you, I can give you the rules, don't double text, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. But if you're thinking too much about it, you will flounder in certain situations. If it's too calculated, you will flounder in certain situations. Like, be real. Like, if you're someone who's looking for a relationship, right? Do you think that, like, when you're like, oh, this is our happily ever after, you're gonna be thinking, oh yeah, when I was sliding in her DMs or in his DMs, I had to think, am I gonna double text? Am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do that? Now, mind you, it definitely could, but you're making it much harder for yourself. Now, as for people who just want to hook up with these people, again, you can't. You're also doing it backwards then. Like, you can't be like, I want to have sex. Person. Let's find the person. It's, let's meet this person. I meet this person, and in a way, I want to have sex with them. Boom. Now, mind you, you can find people that want to fuck you off the rip, right? But the thing is, it's harder to convert is a horrible word, but convert the person. Like, say this person's looking for a relationship. Say they're, they want to get to know you, right? Like, they're approaching things the more correct way, and then you're just like, sex. Right? And people can tell when you just want sex. Not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, when you DM slide off straight sex, people can tell, bro. Like, you can compliment anything, bro. Like, you can. I remember I used to when I was talking to someone, I used to like slide up on a thirst traps, but ignore the thirst trap part. But they knew what I was on. They kept like, oh, look at that smile. They knew what I was on. And again, that works for people where it's like, yeah, they want to hook up with you, because of course those people exist. But I'm saying a lot, because a lot of you want to hook up with people who either want committed relationships or people who just aren't exclusively looking to hook up. Like, they're less horny than you, basically. I promise you, it's always going to be better when you go person first, activity or dynamic second. Because as you get to know somebody, you'll find out what the dynamic is. Like, to be real, like, that's why people, they're like, oh yeah, I started talking to this person, I just cut everyone else off because it just felt right. Those people, they get into relationships before they get into the relationship. But it's like, again, you clicked on this. If you clicked on this video for genuine help, you're thinking too much. You know what I mean? So you should have a roster, for one, to stop you from thinking this person is the end all be all, like whether or not they respond to your post. Respond to your message, or, leave you on red, don't leave you on red, or continue the conversation. But also, having the roster makes you approach these situations the best way. Like, it's one of those situations, when they're like, oh, like, once you get money, it makes you more money. Once you get money, it makes you more money. Like the second million is easier than the first million. That's how it is with love interest too. Once you have a lot of love interests, just by the way that you approach the world, it's easier for you to get more. As far as like when I say like I'm gonna say something, right? I'm gonna have to explain the thing. It is harder to get a roster of 5 than it is to go from 5 to 10. Right now, obviously, you can go on dating apps, attract to people. You can go like slide them and you get a few people like on like your quick roster. But I mean, as far as like love interest, like you guys are like talking, like you know each other, like you have romantic feelings towards these people, they have romantic feelings towards you, beyond just the initial carnal pleasures, the initial this person's attractive. Like if you move throughout the world in a way that people desire you, it's like okay, yes, like people want me, then people are going to want you. Again, that's why it's like, oh, like people in relationships statistically appear more attractive. You know what they're saying? Like, do you get what I'm saying, bro? Like, don't overthink it. So that's essentially the video. Thank you for watching. Bro, not gonna lie, the fact that I had to record this twice really took the wind out of me. I'm so glad I at the very least got to finish the video. So state of affairs, bro. I don't, streaming every day. You know me. But, yeah, bro. No, long day. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Everything I have to say. I'm so sorry, and I love you. Have a great day, night, evening, morning.